All right, so it looks like Brendan Schaub's former handler, Mark Harley, wasted no time, and he's already turned on Brendan. He was fired less than a month ago, and now he's posting on the Fight in the Kids subreddit. He's going on Red Bar. He's talking about making an exposed video on Brendan. It's hilarious. For somebody that hates getting involved in drama, Brendan somehow always manages to find himself in the middle of it. Like, this has to be Brendan's worst nightmare happening right here. A former employee going on Red Bar in the Fight in the Kids subreddit, trying to expose him and talking about the 300 pages of evidence, how awful it was working with Brendan. I think he said he owed him some money. Mark is not happy with him. So let's hear what he had to say about Brendan while he's on Red Bar. And I apologize, this is from Unique Stream, so you might hear him in the background making weird noises and moaning and stuff. Just try to tune that out.
But we've had a few dust-ups before, and kind of the general theme of this would be if I corrected him on anything, it would be an issue.
Really?
Where I almost got fired because he was trying to tell me that, engagement was too low on his Instagram page.
No.
And an audit. And he goes, there's only 0.3% engagement. You guys need to reply to more comments.
Oh,
and I
my
go,
God.
I think that engagement means replying to comments. And he goes, yes. And I go, that's not what it means. He goes, yes, it is. And we kind of have this argument where I have to explain to him, engagement means likes, comments, saves, shares. And, there's a lot more going on there. I've been trying to figure out your Instagram for months now. And I don't know exactly what's going on to it. But, the non-follower reach is limited. I'm looking at, I'm trying to solve this problem for months. And then suddenly this other person comes along and it's like, has the answer, right?
No, this is crazy. First of all, he shouldn't be worried about engagement. This engagement thing is a bunch of crap. I mean, he started getting aggravated with you because his Instagram engagement wasn't what he expected it to
Mark
be.
Harley talked the
Is that what I'm hearing?
This is the best. Brendan was mad at him because he wasn't getting him enough engagement on Instagram. Who the hell is going to be able to get Brendan Schaub more followers and engagement on Instagram? That's like an impossible task. And Red Bar's right. Brendan doesn't need to be worried about engagement on Instagram right now. That should be the least of his worries. The guy's got a bunch of failing podcasts, and you're telling me the problem is he's not responding to enough comments on Instagram? Like, if he wants to turn things around, I think he's going to need more than that.
A lot of criticism without, a standard. You know what I mean? So you can criticize.
Of course.
Hey, you're supposed to do this, but there was a lot of incidents. There were several incidents that were kind of mimicked this, that were like inventing a standard the day after. Why didn't you get this thing that I didn't ask for the day after? And you can take that for a while, but then when you push back on it and it escalates and you have to correct somebody, choose to correct it. And this is just, I'll put out more info about this because I'm interested in just I'll let people read these exchanges and decide for themselves. But that was one example of then we're on the group chat with this IG guru, because he deflected.
Wow.
I'm going, no, the definition of the word you're using is wrong. We go to a group chat with the IG guru. He told me I made her cry because I was asking questions hey, I was just, being, in my opinion, diplomatic, but sort of a little bit direct, and just going, hey, so what's up with this? You said you fixed the shadow ban, but what I'm seeing on his page is that you got more engagement on this post because you collabed with some.
Oof. So it also sounds like Brendan might have hired some Instagram strategist, and then Mark made her cry or something. What is going on over there? It's crazy. Brendan there's so much drama involved with these people. And I love that he thinks Instagram is the big problem. That's what he needs to focus on. Getting an Instagram strategist at this point, is that going to do anything? It's like this guy's just trying to throw money out the window. And of course he thinks he's shadow banned on Instagram. That's the reason he's not getting good engagement. What, are you also shadow banned on YouTube and Twitter as well?
I mean, why is that something he's even concerned with? Is it because, I have a suspicion, is it because the views have been going down on these shows that they're hosting?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of panic around that. And look, Mike, my concern, if I ever post something and it doesn't get the engagement that I want, I go, maybe my content sucks. Can I do better? Can I be funnier? Can I post a better picture? Can I post a better caption? Question of, are the fans happy with the show? And I think in this instance, the old adage of, don't read the comments because there's nothing useful. And Brendan will I've heard Brendan say, no hater in the comment has ever given me a tag to a joke. But it's not about getting a joke from the comments. It's about taking the temperature of the room, right?
Sure.
And if 90% of the people in the comment section say, you constantly interrupt, you're very rude to people, you're arrogant, you cut people off. Even when I appeared on The Fighter and the Kid, I came on 5 times as a guest before I was in the room for each episode. And from the get-go, he kind of brought me on. The first time I came on, they wanted to talk a lot about, weightlifting and nutrients and anabolics and all that. And I'm an open book with regards to that stuff, but some of it is more scientific. And I'm not going to talk about steroids without being very precise, require complex answers. And I just felt like I couldn't open my mouth without being cut off
Wow.
4 seconds later. And that's the experience of nearly every guest. And I think people catch on, like, because if you were to graph the viewership or whatever, people get over time, you'll see one by one. I tried, I can't take it anymore. And that's why it's, the lesson for me is always be in touch with the people who butter your bread. These people are the people who drive your show. And I think
it's funny because it sounds like Mark understands all the problems that Brendan has. And if he was actually telling him some of this stuff, then he was giving him good advice. But it sounds like Brendan just does not want to listen to anybody. Like, not every comment is a hater. Sometimes you can get good feedback and you can obviously improve on things. And I think a good amount of the people that hate on the show used to be fans of it. So if he was paying attention to comments and would actually take some of the feedback into consideration, he probably could have understood what he's doing wrong and maybe improved on things or try to change things up. But it just sounds like he thinks all feedback and criticism is coming from haters, so there's no point in listening to it. Like he said, no hater in the comments has ever given him a tag to a joke. That's hilarious. Of course, that's something Brendan says. He's just so out of it. Like, comments are usually good for giving you tags to a joke. Like, if you go to the comment section of pretty much any video, you're going to find some pretty funny stuff.
When did you learn about this firing? How quick was it?
What I think actually was an example of, like, a sort of little dust up that happened before. But there was a series of these little things where I'd kind of push back and stand up for myself. And generally speaking, like, I wouldn't be speaking on this if it was like, if I felt like I was the only person who ever experienced this, but know that if I say something, it's probably indicative of a general pattern of, if you see people leaving, it might be because of the way that their boss is treating them, and it's less than respectful. And
Wow.
I've listed off, we've had discussions before where I go, hey man, I feel like you're disrespecting me. And it goes, well, how so? And I'll list off like 10 things. And then he goes, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I'm like, no, it's not about being sorry I want you to address, is this indicative of you not liking me or thinking I'm a bad employee or what? Like, because you would pair things like that, I love you, but, and then shit on me. And I'm like, let's get to the bottom of this. What is your actual perception of me? Because I feel like you're subverting me.
And this is with you and Brendan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, to Brian's credit, Brian was very, very supportive of me. And I felt like he actually went out of his way to, like, try and understand me as a person. So
it's funny because Red Bar keeps trying to ask him about Brian and Chris D'Elia, and he really has nothing bad to say about them. He's like actually has good things to say about them. He's like, yeah, they're cool guys. I got along with them. I feel like they understood me well, and they're really nice to me and everything. But then with Brendan Schaub, he just can't stand him, and he's just going off on him.
Case may be. Now, I got fired actually because I couldn't come in on a Monday for Schaub show. Now, come to find out later that Brendan had actually taken me off the payroll for Thick Boy, like after our last disagreement. I didn't realize it at the time, but he wasn't paying me to be there for the Schaub show, in which I take pictures, I annotate quotes during the show. I kind of just help, produce the show in a minor, like a PA, I guess.
Sure.
But, I'm just there. I'm one of the hands on deck. Just going, let's get these quote cards out as soon as possible. I write the episode description. I write the title. Sometimes I do the thumbnails, stuff like that.
So also, like I said, they start talking about the 300 pages of evidence that Brendan claimed to have, and Mark pretty much confirms what everyone's been thinking. Brendan probably never saw the evidence, or he saw it and just didn't know what the hell he's looking at. And also right here, Mark talks about how Brendan handled this just the worst way possible, like I've been saying. But I also thought Mark was probably part of his team, and I still kind of believe that because right here he's talking about how this evidence probably never existed and he never saw it. But I feel like I remember when this was all going down, him saying that he did see it. But I don't know, I could be wrong. Or maybe he was like covering for Brendan and Brendan told him to say something like that.
300 pages of files. What was that all about?
Well, I would describe that broadly as like, if you had a choose your own adventure and like at each step, there was like just the worst possible step you could take, it's like, and you could either, go in the door, or you could stick your hand in the wood chipper. It's like, I'm going to stick my hand in the wood chip. The main question I think that people have is like, is this 300 pages of evidence real?
Yeah. Is it?
Has Brendan seen 300 pages of evidence? I think he may have been told by that, but like, or told about that. And I'll just try to be specific here, because the speculation is that none of this ever happened, right? Or like that it was a complete fabrication,
Sure.
right? It's not a complete fabrication in the sense that I believe he believed that he had this information that Bobby was somehow connected to the subreddit.
Sure.
Let's just say, in a theoretical world, I don't know, maybe if you were looking to get a subreddit taken down,
Holy shit.
maybe you might hire some unsavory people. Maybe those unsavory people, in this theoretical scenario, are scamming you. Maybe they're real, but maybe they're scamming you. Maybe they're passing on information to you as a rube who doesn't know anything about computers, claiming that they're making progress in taking a website down that you, in this theoretical
So
scenario.
you never saw 300 pages of documents. You never saw him carrying a big book of
I never
300.
saw it, and he never saw it, but was passing it on as if he had, because
Wow.
now, do I believe he was told something to that effect? Yes. Do I think that Brendan's easy to take advantage of because of his naivete and unwillingness to sort of look into and confront the factual reality of certain scenarios? Yes. So now let's take it to that step where you go, okay, if I came to you and said, Red Bar, we have evidence that, Mark Harley is running this hate group online against you. What you might do, if you actually believe that, is say, store that information in my back pocket.
Sure.
It could be true, it could not be true, but I'm just going to sort of suss it out.
So he just heard about that 300 pages. He never really saw it, and then he just used it when he needed to kind of explain.
Correct.
Wow.
That's part of this pattern is like.
So I thought those were the best parts from the interview. If you want to hear the rest, I think it's going to be up on Red Bar's website. But after this, Mark went to the Fighting the Kids subreddit to post some messages that Brendan sent him, I believe. And I think this is what he sent him right after he did this interview. And it's so funny. Like, look at the picture that Mark has for Brendan, like his profile picture thing. And this is what Brendan had to say. Hey, brother, I don't like the way things went down between us. You're a great friend to me. Working together makes it effing tough. Let's meet in person if you're down when I get back. You should be proud of yourself. Then Mark said, so should you. And then Brendan said, you were my friend, man. Mark says, you weren't mine. Maybe I didn't handle certain things always right as a boss, but to go on a podcast for what? And then Mark says, you treat people like shit across the board. Brendan said, that's not true at all. Hey, dude, it's all good. Wish you the best of luck. And then Mark started going off about how Brendan's going around the country telling people he sends shitty pics. I don't know what that's all about. There's just way too much drama to get into here. Then he went on to say, you need to be honest with yourself. You don't just treat me like shit, you treat everyone like shit. And I tried to explain that to you, but you're not interested in hearing that. And then in the comments, Mark says that Brendan texted him immediately, I guess after the interview, I would imagine, because then he's like, Brendan claims he doesn't see anything online. Obviously he's paying attention if he texts him right after that. And then he says, dude owes me $15K. Let's see if he pays up or shit has to escalate, because this whole woe is me, I'm just a nice friend BS actually has me pissed off. So this is not good for Brendan. Like, Mark is doing whatever he can to try to expose him. And, it's hard to tell how much Mark is doing this, like, just for attention, because he knows people love to hate on Brendan and he's just giving him what they want. Or he actually hates Brendan for genuine reasons, Like, does Brendan really owe him $15K? Because if that's true, I mean, that's pretty crazy. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, because I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon. And it sounds like he has evidence and receipts. So I can't wait to see what comes of this. And I hope Brendan actually responds to it and doesn't try to handle this like how he handled the truck walk and just do it all behind the scenes and threaten to sue people. I feel like that's coming. I feel like he's going to threaten to do something to this guy. But if Brendan were smart, he'd talk about this on his channel. Like, he'd make a video responding to it, because drama on YouTube gets views. So why not take advantage of it? And also just staying silent. Like, if you let Mark say all this stuff and you have no response, and then you threaten to sue him, or you have Brian Callen call him and threaten to beat him up or something, that's going to be the worst decision possible. But usually Brendan makes the worst decision, so that's probably what's going to happen. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments. And then if you want any extra content, I have a bunch of videos up on Patreon. I'll probably post another one this week. And then make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you at the next video.